several years ago, the Chancellor at the University of Illinois signed on to the American Colleges and University President's Climate Commitment. And this statement required us to, or committed us to achieving climate neutrality, carbon neutrality at some point in the future on our own terms to determine when and how we're going to achieve that. Our goal is to actually get to zero net greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. First, we had to know where our emissions were actually coming from. So we did a baseline analysis, and we figured out that most of our emissions are from energy use in buildings, and most of that is from Abbott Power Plant, from the steam and the electricity and indirectly the chilled water that is being generated to use in buildings on campus. But we also have other emission sources, like from transportation, either from air travel is actually surprisingly a large portion of it, commuting, our own university vehicles are also a part of that. Then we look at other things, actually landfill emissions, the methane emissions that are created from a landfill. So the plan is really looking at, our targets, the things we want to do. First of all, we just have to conserve energy. That's the number one thing you want to do. Just conserve, conserve, conserve. And then we start looking at renewable energy generation, figuring out ways that we can make generation more efficient. Once we've conserved enough, generation's cheaper. We just don't have to have as much capacity. Looking at that, looking at ways to encourage different commuting options like bicycling, car sharing, taking the bus, etc. So we're looking at some of those strategies as well. So we have this plan, and we think it's a really strong plan. But in the end, we have to make sure that it's implemented. We're going to have a follow-up to the plan, which figures out who's actually going to be responsible for each of the major elements of the plan. There's going to be a tracking system to ensure that our commitments are actually followed through, so people can know in a transparent way. People within the university, within the community can actually know how we're doing on these measures. Some things like, reducing energy consumption in our own buildings, it's pretty easy to do. Well, it's not easy to do, but we can do that we could do that internally, but when you start talking about things like commuting, some of these other things that really spill over boundaries, we really need to have everyone on board. When you look at generation, if we could work together on some of these issues, we can make it a lot more effective. The university is a strong partner with the community, and we're hoping that we could kind of be a role model and also just a resource to help the community meet similar goals that we're trying to meet. So the City of Urbana is also working on a carbon action plan. Hopefully the City of Champaign will do so as well in the future. We're talking about a plan that goes to 2050 that deals with issues like energy efficiency, renewable energy. Technologies are going to change, our understanding of environmental issues are going to change, so we're going to have to change our plan too. We acknowledge that this is our first try. We know parts of it are going to be wrong. We're just going to have to kind of address that as we go along.